name is Jerry Karen. I'm head of research and analysis for Global Data, and I'm very happy to be here with you here today to talk about the important subject of technology and education, and about how the converging priorities of education and technologies are coming together. The first thing to think about is that educational institutions of all sorts, whether we're talking about early education or secondary education or indeed higher education, and whether they are government funded or not, have generally a common vision, a common approach, or objectives that they're trying to achieve. And in doing that, they're seeking ways to use the best used technology to help those endeavors. And some of those are things like obviously delivering world-class education and high quality training. And the objective there is to enable citizens to reach their full potential. And that in turn enriches lives and prospects for everybody. And an important thing related to that is inclusivity. So making sure that this educational process and the education that's delivered embraces everybody. And as you can imagine, technology has a very big part to play in that. And finally, obviously, all of this education should contribute to a more productive economy and happier lives, etc. I think that the events of the past 18 months around the world with regard to the pandemic and as it applied to education, obviously, like in most every other industry, served to accelerate technological initiatives and ideas that really were already in place and already in motion. It just had to happen much more quickly. So looking at some of the priorities, we do at Global Data a very large survey of thousands and thousands of organizations around the world, including educational organizations, about what are their technological priorities. And you see, some of the black lines indicate what they intend to focus on, or they expect to focus on in the coming year. And a lot of these are things that you would expect to see, but a couple really stand out. So we look at the first thing being the largest growth, if you will, from previous studies that we've done was around cloud-based applications, which very much stands to reason. There are efficiencies, there's elasticity in terms of adding or subtracting capability, all sorts of efficiency around cloud-based applications that are driving this interest. And naturally, collaboration tools is another. Now, there was a huge focus on collaboration tools as restrictions related to the pandemic hit most countries in the world. So there was almost this emergency collaboration build out, and but that investment will remain in place because there were a lot of benefits realized from using collaboration tools, and now it's about going back and looking at how to improve them, how to make them best suited for the application, whatever the educational environment would be, and supporting people in remote locations, and that will remain with us even as we move out of some restrictions related to the pandemic. Network upgrades, obviously, I think are also important. A lot of people, organizations realized that network capacity is absolutely essential to supporting not only remote education, but also within the classroom environment or within the institution environment, better broadband to support next generation applications that educational institutions want to use. Training is obviously another big thing, because I think there was a realization that the use of great technology doesn't really work if the people using it aren't skilled or don't understand how to best use that technology, whether we're talking about a basic tool like collaboration, or if we're talking about more advanced tools like augmented or virtual realities for, say, scientific educational applications, et cetera. And then core student information systems is always a focus for IT spend. So you think about the what educational institutions are trying to improve, or what their objectives are for deploying technology, whether it be more standard technology or next generation technology. You can think of five fundamental areas. It's administrative processes, improving them, assessment processes, the teaching practices. So, how to improve, how to take teaching to the next level using technological tools. Professional development for the educators, keeping them moving forward, helping them learn more quickly about how to how to take their programs to the next level. And then this concept of learning throughout life, so extending learning capabilities in education in an interactive, inclusive way, throughout people's lives, is obviously an objective as well. And so there are a number of different technologies that are involved in that. Again, first and foremost, is there needs to be a strong focus on broadband and on the connectivity, because as we go forward using more data and more video and things like augmented and virtual reality, greater broadband is required, and that includes extending it to homes, but clearly in the the classrooms and the institutions themselves as well. Collaboration tools continue to focus on it. How can they be more inclusive? How can they be more secure? How can they be more seamless, etc. The Internet of Things come into play in terms of making best use of technology like electronic whiteboards and other solutions that can that can enrich an in-classroom experience. Augmented and virtual reality, institutions looking at how to, again, take their programs to the next level in areas of science study and others by using these tools, or by, again, enriching the experience beyond simply sort of text. The AI and machine learning comes into play in education as well, to automate processes and improve processes. Obviously, we talked about cloud playing a big part in this environment in terms of a more efficient, more agile way of delivering applications, and also, again, more inclusive, to include people who are being educated remotely. Security is essential. This came out a lot during the pandemic in terms of making sure that students and teachers were, and the information they were sharing was secure when they were teaching remotely. And so that it takes a very high significance as well. Some of the obstacles that need to be overcome, I think, are familiar to most and to everybody. There are financial, there are costs and budgets. There's always a budget that has to be worked within. There are student barriers, skilling, upskilling, and access to these richer tools, how to use them, making sure that's in place. Same for staff. Skills are really important, making sure they understand how to use the tools, make the most of them. There's some resistance to change, et cetera. Connectivity, we talked about the importance of broadband, both at school and at home, and security being very, very important. It could be an obstacle. Finally, just a couple of final thoughts. The digital imperative has actually been in place for quite some time. In order to move education to where it needs to be today and going forward, we are talking about a digital experience and mastering that. In terms of managing costs, think about platforms, think about working with select suppliers to offer a fundamental platform that is able to deliver all of these different applications. Then finally, ROI. Like any business, there is ROI. There is a financial, working within a budget aspect, but also the human ROI. How does this benefit people? With that, I'll end. Thank you very much.